Ellarigu Namaskara. I hope you all are doing good. Welcome back to the Little Things. So today's video is going to be a bit different from all my previous videos because today I would like to discuss with you all about a topic which I think most of us don't discuss actively, and yes, as the title suggests, it is going to be about fear of speaking, or more correctly so, the discomfort one faces while interacting one-to-one with someone. It could be a stranger or someone you already know, or more commonly the fear you feel while addressing a gathering. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I really believe that there are so many of us who face this issue on a regular basis, and yet there is not much of conversation happening around it. Now that I'm creating content on IELTS test and speaking happens to be one of the test component, I thought I should definitely address this topic. And don't worry, it has got nothing to do with IELTS test. It's just a video wherein I would like to share with you all the issues that I personally face with my speaking, with some real life examples like how being an introvert has affected me, what are the challenges that I faced at my education and work, everyday challenges of interacting with people, things like that. And I hope that at least some of you could relate to it and feel that you're not alone in this. So let's get started with my story, shall we? My upbringing has been in a lower middle class family. My father, he hasn't received any formal education. He owns a small tea shop in Bangalore. My mom, she has studied till grade 7 in rural Karnataka, and after marriage they chose to settle down in Bangalore. So I was born and raised in the beautiful city of Bangalore, or Nama Bengaluru. I think you guys will agree with me on this, that the dream of many parents who themselves couldn't get any formal education is to provide the best of education they can to their kids, and it was no different with my parents as well. They wanted me and my brother to study in an English medium school. Now convents were a bit costly, so those were out of the picture. So they settled for a nearby school which had got some decent reviews, at the same time was not heavy on their pockets. So I studied in the school from class 2 to 9, and let me talk a bit in detail about my school because it's really important for the narrative. First and foremost, one of the most commonly asked questions when you start with your college is people ask you what's your school name. Now I used to always dread this question, not because I didn't belong to Baldwin's or Bishop's or Joseph's, or because I used to feel any low of my school, not at all, but because having to explain my school name. So my school name is HTM English School. Now as soon as I would say this to people, they would be like, what? HMT? Now for people who don't know this, HMT used to be one of the most famous Indian watch brands, and my school name is not HMT, it's HTM, which stands for Hazrat Tawakal Mastan. So it's a school funded and run by a local dargah with almost 350 years of history to it, and it's quite famous among the localites. Now as one can obviously assume, most of the students in my school were Muslims, and the impact this had on me is, in order to feel a sense of belonging, I started conversing with all my friends in Urdu. As a matter of fact, by the time I reached 3rd or 4th grade, I had by-hearted the complete dua which you recite after the azan out of sheer interest. Except for very limited conversation in English which I used to have with my teachers, all that I spoke during my primary school was Urdu. This continued throughout my schooling days, and then came the first turning point in my life, the high school. As in any other school, we too had a separate set of teachers who were handling the high school students, and here I met the teacher who changed my life. I had in fact known her since my primary school days, and I was always fascinated by her because she was so different from the other teachers in my school, and finally I had got a chance to sit in her class. She is the person who actually inspired me to learn and better my English, and because of her I grew interest towards life science and pursued it further in college. She was my science teacher, Mrs. Susan Thomas. Now she didn't have to do anything extraordinary for this to happen. She inspired me by just being herself. She was confident, had a great command over English. She used to MC most of the events organized in my school. She was just fab with whatever she did, and maybe I wanted to be like her. But the question was, how? Now I couldn't have started conversing with my friends in English. That would have been super weird, obviously. So newspapers came to my rescue. I started reading a lot, and come Sundays I would devour every single article which interested me. And not only that, my mom's brother, that's my Mava, he had taught me how to use dictionary because back then we didn't have Google search. So I would read all these articles, and every single time I would come across a new word, I would get all excited and then search for the meaning of this word and learn it. So this is how I improved my vocabulary, but this approach had a flaw to it. Here, since I was learning all these new words by myself, even with the pronunciation, I would come up with my own pronunciation. Sometimes it used to be right and sometimes it would be wrong. And this I would realize when I would hear somebody else using those words, and I would be like, oh no, it's wrong. Now in my head, I was stuck with two different pronunciations, not knowing which one is the right one. Whether it's fungi or fungi, whether it's education or education. What's semicircle to me was semicircle for someone else. Now I don't know how many of you have watched this very famous series called Lil Things. It's on Netflix, the season 2. Now I am real life Dhruv. You know why? Because until I watched that episode in Lil Things, I didn't know that I was pronouncing the word as panda, not panda. So I am real life Dhruv. At times I would also feel like Ishan Awasthi from Tare Zameen Par. Just like how letters and numbers used to confuse him, I used to be always confused with the pronunciation of words. And in this fear, I would always fear speaking out, thinking that I might blurt out something wrong and people might ridicule me for that. So in the most important early years of my life, when I was supposed to build a strong foundation for myself, all I had was fear and self-doubt, and to top it all, I was a weird introvert kid. The reason why I say I was weird introvert kid is because I was good at my studies. I used to love taking part in culturals and sports. I was in fact the school pupil leader, but at the same time I hated having conversations with people or being in a situation where the spotlight was on me, like giving a speech. It was no different with my personal life as well. I literally had no friends outside my school. I wouldn't go out to any parties or events with my parents. I would always stay back at home with the company of my cats because I used to feel that it's my comfort zone where there's no one to judge me. But still I can say school life was pretty good because I had spent almost 9 years of my life there. Everybody knew me, I knew everyone, so it was my second comfort zone. But soon, this bubble was about to burst because it was time for college, and God, it was bad. I think out of all my years of education, the 2 years of my plus 2 or pre-university was an all-time low for me personally. The only saving grace was I made some amazing friends who are there in my life till now. You see, until now, most of my confidence came from the fact that I used to be a topper. But with PU, everything changed. I think all of us have gone through the pressure of the so-called life-changing phase. Coming from state syllabus, trigonometry and calculus were my worst nightmares. I just couldn't understand what the hell was going on, and for the first time in my life I had started scoring not so great marks. I mean, when I was in school, people used to actually give me as an example to other kids saying you need to score like her, but now I was scared. What if the same people find out how bad I was doing? From a score of 98 in maths in my school boards to a mere score of 48 in my PU boards, my confidence had took a very bad hit. And I guess I need not say my parents were not so proud of my marks because engineering and medicine had bid their farewell. Also, speaking of English, I had made a small group of friends with whom I used to converse in the native language of Kannada, so English again took a backseat. I guess the only time when I was really happy with my plus 2 is the day when it was finally over. Then came the next turning point in my life. It was the 3 amazing years of my degree life. Now when I speak of degree life, I definitely have to speak about one particular day, which is the day of orientation. We had a very huge auditorium and I was sitting somewhere in the back, and there came a segment in the program wherein they started felicitating students, one from each of the streams of science, commerce and arts, for their overall exceptional performance. Now I really don't know what took over me. Maybe it was the failure of my plus 2 and me wanting to redeem myself. Out of nowhere, I promised myself that after 3 years, I'll be on that stage receiving that award. Maybe it was a way I chose to give myself some purpose for the next 3 years of my college life. But once the college started, this thing kind of went into the background. Why this phase is really important in my life is because I had made a group of friends with whom for the first time in my life I was conversing in English on a regular basis. And the result was all the vocabulary that I had learned for all these years all came out all at once. You know, my friend had actually nicknamed me as Bangalore Mirror. And I was finally back in the game of being topper because I had started enjoying my studies again. And all thanks to my hyperactive, highly talented set of friends, I had started taking part in inter and intra-collegiate events as well. And we had our share of fun too. For the first time in my life, I bunked college and watched a movie. We used to go out for all these different eatery places and the innumerous field trips. We had a blast. It was the best phase of my entire college life, and within no time we were already in the final year, and then came the annual day. And with that came the topic of who is going to be the person who would be awarded that prize. Now I won't lie, I obviously thought that I made the cut because I had done really well with my studies and had also taken part in all these different activities thanks to my friends. But a day or two before the event, I got to know that they had not selected me. Instead, they had opted for one of my best friend from my group itself. Of course, I was heartbroken because after all it was a dream of 3 years and silly me even cried my heart out. But then I did something that actually changed me as a person. You see, I had two options. I could either crib about it and feel sad and pity myself, or take the second route and figure out what exactly went wrong. And I took the second route, and thankfully I realized that all the issue again came back to my fear of speaking with people. You see, when I say that I took part in all these different activities, it always used to be group events like quiz, science projects, dump charades, etc. Barring once or twice, I have never taken part in any of the events where the spotlight was on me, like pick and speak or debate competition, nothing of that sort, because I was still conscious, I was still scared. So even though I wanted to be a part of all these things, my own fear would never let me do those things. Not only that, even when I used to be in class, when a teacher asked a question, there were so many times when I knew the correct answer, but still I would self-doubt and then I would hesitate giving out answers. And even during Viva, during practicals, I didn't like it because the fear of having one-to-one conversation with someone, I didn't like that idea. But my friend, on the other hand, was a total opposite. She was a really confident speaker and she used to take part in all these individual events, and she was good with her studies too. I can say that she was a perfect replica of my school time science teacher whom I wanted to be. So it's absolutely justified that they selected her. Exhibit 2 of being a weird introvert is the fact that you love to be the center of attention. At the same time, it scares you like hell. Thanks to my previous experiences, I had understood that if I want to be recognized for the person I am, then I need to stop hiding behind people. I had to be my own voice, and then came my second promise to myself that I will trust myself and voice out my opinions as much as I can. This I got a chance to experiment during my post-graduation days. Now I won't say that I completely transformed into this confidence oozing person. That's still a work under progress. But you know, just before a presentation, I would feel nauseous, my heartbeat would increase rapidly, and every time to raise your hand and tell out an answer or ask a question at the cost of being classified as a nerd was not easy. But I had made up my mind to give it a fair chance. The first time I tried this out was during our freshers day, and under normal circumstances I would never ever do it, but as I had told you, I had promised myself, so I had to do it. So I took part in Miss Freshers competition. So I had to do everything that actually scared me. I had to stand in front of people, I had to talk, I had to walk the ramp, everything. But guess what? I actually ended up winning the title, and it was an amazing feeling. And this gave me the much needed boost to continue in this path further. Not just that, I continued participating in most of the individuals events, and I happened to MC the next year's freshers event. And finally, people started recognizing me as an individual and not just as a member of a group. And all this happened just because I chose to fight my fear of speaking out. It doesn't end just there. When I started working, it wasn't easy. The first big hurdle is the interview itself for me. I tend to get super nervous for no reason at all, and because of this, I end up fumbling. Somehow, after that nightmare, when I finally get a job because that person chose to see my technical knowledge and thought of giving me a chance, then came the next big hurdle. In college, it's at least friends, but here I was surrounded by all these highly educated and experienced people. There have been times when I would be part of a meeting and I would have so much feedback to give, so many questions to ask, so many topics to talk about, but I could never utter out a single word. You know, in the previous organization where I was working, I had made a friend, or should I say, he had befriended me. So he used to always advise me one thing, that when you are in a work setup or especially a corporate setup, it's really important for you to voice out your opinions in order to be recognized. Or else it will be really difficult for you to have a career growth, which is a matter of fact, a reality. I was of the opinion that if you do your work properly, that's more than enough. But the truth is, you also need to have people skill. Interacting with people, building your network, all these things play a significant role in the long run. You know, if this fear of speaking was limited to all these places, it was still fine to some extent. But in my case, I find it difficult to interact with people, say in a supermarket, or to go to a restaurant and place an order, or if I'm lost somewhere, to ask people for directions. I find all these things difficult. I can literally see a person every day, but still I find it difficult to have a eye contact or smile at them or even to say a hi. Forget these people, even people whom I know and converse on a regular basis. Even before approaching them and having a conversation, I'll have a mental conversation in my head. I'll chart out everything, and that's when I'll approach that person. Over the years, I have worked on myself and things are much better now, but still I do have my moments of low once in a while. The only people with whom I don't have this issue is actually my family members and my really close friends, because with them I'm really comfortable and I never worry about being judged, and being in that state is an absolute bliss. I believe the actual reason for me to have turned out this way and to have all these speaking issues is because of a very weak foundation that I've had, and all those issues that were not addressed when I was a kid. My lack of confidence in using English language resulted in me losing my self-confidence, and it affected almost every part of my life. Having gone through all these things in my life, I thought I should definitely make use of this platform to talk about this issue, because many of them don't even recognize this to be an issue. If you're an introvert like me, then trust me, you're not alone in this. There are lakhs of people just like us who face this issue day in and day out silently. Now, please don't get confused between being an introvert and a person who doesn't speak because they are not confident. These are two different things. People are introvert not because they are not confident, it's because they like being by themselves, they find it to be peaceful, and being in a crowd feels chaotic. Introverts can be super confident and great orators. So if you choose to be an introvert out of choice, then there is no harm in it. It's perfectly fine. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. But if you are someone who really likes to be amidst people but don't do so because you're scared or you're not confident, then that's the problem that you need to address. And at this point of time, I do have a couple of suggestions to make. If you're a parent with small kids, then I would request for you to observe your kids and see whether they are facing any issues with interacting with people. Now, as I said before, if your kid is an introvert, it's perfectly fine. Please don't force them to be an extrovert. But if this is not the case, then I think as parents, you have bigger roles to play in building your child's confidence. Maybe you can let them assist you with small household chores, and you can appreciate them for their little achievements. And maybe next time you go out for a family dinner, of course post COVID, you can let them take the lead and decide the order, and in fact let them place the order. Instead of telling them that all strangers are bad and not letting them talk with anyone, instead try and teach them how to approach people confidently. There are just so many things that you can practically do as parents which can help in your kids turning out into confident individuals. This I'm not telling you as an experienced parent. In fact, I don't have any kids, but I'm telling you all these things from a kid's point of view. These are the things that I think would have helped me as a kid. Next, if you're a student, then I think you're really in a good place to work on yourself. Don't try to hide from what scares you, instead face it. People might laugh at you or typecast you to be a nerd, but it's okay. Don't miss out on even a single opportunity which you think can build your confidence. Every time you overcome your fears, raise your hand in class and give out an answer is definitely a step towards your own betterment. Please participate in competitions. It's okay even if you don't win. In fact, it doesn't even matter if you win or lose. By participating in all these events, it will give you a chance to meet so many new people, have enriching conversations. You get to see and learn so many things. So please don't let a mean comment or a bully stop you from being what you really want to be. Finally, the professionals. Now, if you're someone who likes to, just finish your work for the day, get paid for it, and really likes to keep things simple, it's perfectly fine. But if you're an ambitious individual who wants to achieve great success and make an impact, then it's really not possible to achieve this dream of yours and make it into a reality if you try to, shut yourself and be in your own shell. This is especially true when it comes to business involving people. Trust me, I know it's not easy, it's difficult to do it, but you really don't have a choice other than to face your fears and overcome these challenges. Make friends, have mentors who can actually guide you. Take initiatives, very important. Please don't shy away from giving that presentation. Speak up, share your ideas, say yes to every opportunity that you think can boost your confidence. Now, if you're an extrovert and a very confident speaker, then chances are you won't even relate with a single word from this video. But what you can actually do is acknowledge this thing and maybe grow empathetic towards people who actually face these challenges. If you're a teacher or parent, then please don't compare your kids. I in fact come from a generation where every kid is compared with the other kid. Please don't do that. This in fact is one of the worst things that you can do to a child. So please accept and nurture people for what they are. If you're a student, please don't be a bully. It's not a good thing to be. I know it might all seem fun to you, but you never know the headspace of the person in front of you. People's sensitivity towards things and remarks differ greatly. So as the saying goes, if you can't speak something nice, then it's better you don't speak anything at all which can hurt or demotivate someone. And I have a very special request to make for anyone who holds a really good position in your office or if you're an employer. You see, people are different. I understand soft skills, people skills are all really important, but please stop expecting the same set of things from everyone. Someone in your team could be really good at organizing events, and there could be people who actually want to participate in those events, and there will be a set of people who actually like to be part of the audience. Let them be. Don't force people against their will to take part in all these things and make them feel that if you don't take part in these things, then maybe you can't progress further. I personally feel that the most important responsibility of a manager or an employer is to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of people working for them and guiding them. Please be considerate. So these are the things that I really wanted to discuss with you guys today, and I would love to know what are your thoughts about this. Do you personally face any of these issues, or do you know someone who might be facing it? What are the things that you can do to make it better? Please share your views with me in the comment section below. You know, I really don't know what will be the reach of this video. Maybe a couple of hundreds. But I really wish more and more people get to see this. So today, instead of asking you to like this video or subscribe to my channel, I would genuinely like to request you guys to share this video with as many people as you can. I really hope that it reaches out to all those people who are actually facing these issues and to let them know that they're not alone in this. I guess that's it for the day, guys, and I hope to see you all soon in my next video. I wish for all of us to be blessed with abundant love, peace and happiness. Take care and do remember, life's all about the little things.